All right. I didn't know she fell asleep for real. That's crazy. I was joking around. She fell asleep for real. I guess I can bring the crew over here. Let me bring everybody over here then. I had myself together. I wasn't ready to go to live.
How you doing?
What's the deal, Truth? How you feeling?
I'm feeling good. How are you feeling?
I'm blessed as always, man.
Amen. Amen.
Oh, yeah. What you got for me, man? Anything you got
Okay.
on your mind?
Cigarettes
You
and
get-
coffee are
Fight
meant
my people.
depend on, and they are therapy instead of real therapy. Seeking drama means you'll have a lot of internal issues. This is fault. I'm trolling. I'm not gonna lie. That's not how I feel. I'm just messing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Cigarettes and coffee weren't meant to depend on. That's true, and it does not avoid. It's not something to use to avoid therapy because it's not therapy, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just something that keeps you running, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess I'm not sure. Second one, I agree. True. I don't know because I'm not educated in the psychological aspect, but I do agree with this. If you can't stand being by yourself, what makes you think someone else can stand you? I'd be wondering about that because I think some people can't stand themselves being by themselves, and I just I don't know, but I can stand being by myself, and there's still people that can't stand me.
Right.
Are many using coping mechanisms and calling them hobbies?
I'm trying to see where everybody was. I gotta remember all the people. I gotta try to invite everybody.
Oh, okay, my bad. I was just going in.
No, no, you doing your thing. No, I was talking out loud though. I was trying to make sure. It only
Okay.
went loud because everybody was still in the middle of talking and stuff, and shit truck just shut down. I was about to just chill, but I said it seemed like everybody had some stuff they wanted to say. So, hey, it was getting a little juicy though. What happened to who else I invited TT. She probably about to get off anyway. Invited Kelly. I gotta remember all the people so I can get everybody on. But yeah, like I said, I had did that one topic with the flexing though, but I might do that on. Since y'all requested it, I'll do that again on probably Thursday when I get on, or maybe Wednesday. Might yeah, because I ain't gonna be able to go live tomorrow, so I got something I gotta do. So I might get on live Wednesday though. Yeah, yeah. Try to invite them people that I don't. I'm trying to remember everybody that was in the live. What happened? What that? That's all the questions. Um, but what was we talking about the last one? We can carry that one on over here. I forgot what we was talking about though.
Oh, I was talking when I remember when I had sat up here and I said a lot of people basically carrying out the life of the people that came before them, far as their
Yeah,
mom and dad, basically. But I was talking about like, oh, parents would sit up here and say, oh, I want my kid to grow up to be better than me. But you
yeah,
got those parents who will say that and really be jealous once they do see their kids have outgrown them in a way that they never experienced.
that's facts. That's facts. What you got, Devin? I seen you muted though. What you got for me, my brother?
Yeah, gang. Now we talking about that. We talking about the prompt.
What you got on your mind? If you wanted to add to what she was saying, we can go for that.
Yeah, no, I concur with what she's saying. Like basically, yeah, I can see how some old members or some older members will have it on their mind to be jealous of their significant young ones
Mm-hmm.
based off of them not accomplishing things that they see they young ones breaking through. I see that. I ain't got no rebuttal for that. I concur with them.
Mm-hmm.
And I said that because I done seen people sit up here and take trips like kids and stuff, take trips that they parents probably never been outside of their home state ever in life, and they'll be like, "Oh, Oh, they think that they got it like that. They think that they all that. You up here trying to think that you flashy. You over here thinking you a celebrity. You a celebrity. Because I have heard people, grown people throw shade at their kids. And I'll be
Mm,
like, I'm like, is you hating on your kid because they took a trip to a place and actually had splurge and lived life in a way that you didn't? So now you trying to compete in a with your kid now. You trying to sit up here and take trips yourself and show off and send pictures to them saying showing them what you doing and showing them like, oh, I could be up on that level too. You get what I'm saying? And truth be
yeah.
told, it shouldn't even be like that.
Hmm. Yeah, you might have to talk about that too. I don't think a lot really, not a lot of parents that want their child. Man, boy, I hate keep having to say that though, and I think I did a live on that too though, because the way I worded it is like I asked, do you raise your child to look up to them one day? And that's I gotta ask it in a way to try to get people get them burnt up. And I thought of them thinking about it that way, they like, that ego and that pride come. But I think that is the ultimate goal. I wouldn't mind looking up to my child one day. I mean, I done did something in my life to help them become better than me. That way I can be like, you know what? Dang, I'm glad I can learn from my child. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't mind that. I mean, that don't take away from what I know.
Yeah.
But shoot, I think everybody can learn from everybody. So, it's just all about the mindset of where everybody is. But we too prideful and ego driven. We think we just can't learn nothing more than just what we know only.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I come with
Did
it.
my red room? What's the deal, man? What you got for me, man? I'll make sure you speak to. For
Man, 100. Oh,
I said red room.
on
Oop, my
red.
bad. My red scorpion. My bad.
On red.
You know I can't see, bro.
Yeah, my bad. Anything you wanted to speak? Yeah, right. Your name, Red Room, and his name Red. Y'all two Reds, and y'all about to get me. My bad.
Oh
But yeah, I was going
shit.
for a Red.
Mm.
I meant to say Red Scorpion. That's what I was talking about. But
No.
anything you wanted to add to it, or that you disagree with, add to with what's been said so far, or otherwise we can get this topic going.
I personally don't. I'm an older gentleman, so I
Yeah.
personally don't know like parents that do that.
Mhm.
So I can't speak on that. I mean, I see little things that kind of go back and forth in those who like to live a harsher life, I
Yeah.
guess you'll call it,
Yeah.
because they have no aspirations, so they obviously enjoy living a harsher life. So go live a harsher life. Like I'm not judging you, right?
Hmm.
So I've seen that in that aspect, but that's not a normal that I like kind of be around. So I just don't have too much to say about it.
Okay. That makes
But I do agree that as far as I think Red One was saying something about you were saying something about growth, right?
Yeah, that was probably me. I just got you.
Yeah. So and I think that's what people have to kind of like start putting in the center of their life, and I definitely make it a requirement to learn something every day. So I mean, and I'm 51, so uh, I I make sure that I mean, like I said, I stepped away from the TikTok thing and all that other stuff because I was doing the same thing over and over. So instead of doing that, I put myself back into school. Like I don't got nothing else to do. You see what I mean? Type scenario. So I mean, I might as well be learning, and I'm not doing it because I want everyone to know. Oh, I'm in school. I don't care. You know, I'm saying is because it's like if you want to be doing something, don't stop yourself because you got a little comfortable. And I also
sense.
advocate for men in this is, you always got to stay dangerous, man. Always.
Yeah.
Explain what that means.
Um, that means that you have to keep your intelligence up. You have to understand who you are, the way that you operate, and how you incorporate people in your life that operate about you the same way or if they operate differently. You are cognizant. You understand your emotions. You control your emotions. Right?
Mm.
You keep yourself together. You make sure that you feed yourself the right things daily. You do not, you can play, but you are not to be played with. Stay dangerous. And also, don't open yourself to everyone. You have a very small circle of people who really know you.
That's right.
And even as far as with, you can't always air your moves. And the last piece I'm going to say is learn how to control your tongue. Because we already know as a man, you got hands. All of us think that we got hands. Okay. And we all do stuff to put together to be able to keep our hands up. But if you don't know how to control your mouth, what you say and what you don't say, take that both ways.
Mm-hmm.
Stay dangerous.
Yeah. No, for real. Host, what's good, gang? What we doing? What we on
But,
there?
so okay.
You right?
So let's get it. Let's get it then. The topic itself: searching for all these type of knowledge, and all these type of knowledge. Uh, but not the knowledge to heal. Why? So what I'm getting to is that it's kind of like we was kind of talking about in the last live, right? Like people, especially like the degrees, right? We can use degrees, even if we could say that people that's even into the Bible, all this, right? We many things, degrees, Bible. We look up stuff on Google and swear we're the smartest, all type of stuff, right? We search all these things, look up the knowledge on stuff like that, but then we don't have the knowledge of how to heal or become better or stuff like that, right? Even though even some of them things do that, but we choose not to look up. All right, I'm having a hard time to forgive. I'm having a hard time to be aware of what I'm doing, controlling my tongue and all this stuff. We don't know how to. We don't look up things like that though, but we can floss the degrees and all the other things and use the. I know this scripture, I know all this stuff, but dang, but do you know how to close your mouth for a change? Do you know how to be humble sometimes? Stuff like that. We never look up the knowledge, to heal. We don't spend basically we don't spend the energy that we put into everything else into bettering ourselves or becoming a better person. You see what I'm saying? We just want to be better than others for the most part. So it's
Yeah.
kind of tying into that flexing stuff.
Oh,
So how y'all feel about that? Why people do that?
I think people live up. Go ahead, Devon. Go ahead.
oh, you good? You good? I'm chilling. I'm listening.
Okay. I think uh I think we got used to the idea of no competition.
Mm,
If you don't have competition, what's the point of doing anything that you're doing?
mm,
Competition is not something that should be looked at as in a bad way. It should be looked at as in a great way. Because if you're competing, what what you're doing is constantly trying to better yourself. And you shouldn't just be competing in one avenue. That's not what competition is. Competition is always evaluating yourself. Can I be stronger? Yeah, I think I can be stronger. Then you go look at people who are stronger. Yeah, I think I can get there. That's competition. People stop competing because they stop caring about themselves. You see how
mm.
rabbit hole can go really, really deep when you think about it?
Yeah,
So,
Yeah.
I think, and with that, right, with what you said, right, I think, and that's weird because even though I worded it a little bit different, but I get you. Um, with the competitor, I think, I think people do still compete though. I think they compete for the wrong reasons though. So that's why that can be like, I don't say double-edged sword. It's duality. I think I learned that that's a new word. So it can be a good, it can be a bad. Just like ego, right? Ego, it can be good and bad, but it just depends if you're going far left or how you're using it, right? And knowing when to use it. So what I notice is people competing like, let me win this. Oh, that's a topic I'm already setting up for too. But basically, people like they want to win the argument and they compete in that way, or I'm better than you in this, or I think that, to where they just don't. And they go back to that humbleness, right? They don't know when to be humble and stuff because they got to compete at every last little thing. I had to have the last word. I gotta know everything, and I get it though. Like, you do these things within yourself, but I think the competition, and what I used to say is, like, I think the problem is that we don't compete with ourselves, right? Become better with that. And instead of competing with other people, it's like use people that may be better than you, right? Because that's what I had to do back then. Use people to motivate you, you know what I'm saying? Or help persuade you, whatever, become better. So that's how I look at that. Instead of like really competing, because like that's where it comes, like you get envious that come behind that, all type of stuff or whatever, if you depending on how you're competing, right? But I think it just depend on what you doing it with, and the reasons why is the ultimate goal is you being is you growing. You know what I'm saying? Without I guess hurting people in the process, because it's like people can be happy. Like, I want to be happy, but either you hurting yourself or you hurting others in the process with it. Is that really a way you want to be happy? You know what I'm saying? So something like that.
I get what you're saying, brother. And I do understand, but that's why I was said it the way I did, is
Yeah.
because competition is not unhealthy. And the way and the examples that you gave to me are not competition. They're more of greed, envy, and jealousy.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So it's not competition, because competition is pure in itself. It is the inversion. I mean, looking inside of oneself and saying, I know that I'm not perfect. Okay. So how do I become the perfect me? I have to look at people who are greater at things that I do outside of myself and surpass that, which means I'm always going to be looking at someone who's surpassed me. I'm competing. It's not a bad thing. You want to be the first. And then you understand, in competition, you're not always going to win. You're going to fail. Right? So when you look at competition as a healthy way, it is the way to be the perfect you. The most healthiest you. Because you see from your mistakes and you correct. You correct course. As you correct course and you keep going, you start seeing things a little more broadly. You start understanding a little bit more of your environment. Then you start to, how do I get better at this? That takes you to your new phase of life. And then you go to the next phase and next phase. You see how that, type shit happens. But it's just, if you have healthy competition in yourself and realize to take out that if I get angry or if I'm looking at someone and I get mad because they have something that I want and I feel like I can't get it, that's not competition. If I have to overtalk you to get my point across, that's not competition. It's ego. You got to call things for what they are.
Yeah. So when they do man versus woman and
Yes.
black versus white and all that stuff, what is that considered then, if that's not competition?
It shouldn't be competition. It should be a conversation, because we
Right.
both need each other, right? So it should be, the man should say, hey, listen, I don't like when women as a whole, men don't like as a whole, or majority, sorry, not whole, as a majority, men don't like this. And women should go, I understand. You don't like that. Please explain why. Okay. Now we tell you, and they go, all right, I get it. Let us think about that for a minute, right? We want to make sure that it makes sense to us. Okay. Give them a little time to stew on it and they move forward, right? And they come back and they say, a day or two, and they say, we understand that. That makes sense. So now we'll stop doing that. You're right. And then it's their turn. Well, ladies, don't like it when you guys do this. Men go back and, yeah, okay. Again, process goes back and forth, right? That's a conversation, right? But what we're having is you're at fault. No, you're at fault. Well, I don't like it when, and we just want you to hear us. And the women are going, you're attacking us. But we're all saying the same thing to try to get to the place of being in a relationship, right? Even in these talking points, we're all saying the same thing. I said in the last line. We're just all saying the same thing, but if we just listen to each other, we see that. However, there is a level of delusion that I have been running into that I don't care to see, but I understand why it's there, right? Because we're talking about ego, and we understand that right now. In our women, ego is, on the West, ego is really, really a big thing. So I know growing up a little earlier than probably some, it's my mom was not an ego-driven woman. So it was weird to me to see all of these egos, coming up even in my age range, right? I mean, I understand change, but the egos is just like, wow, I'm gonna need you to humble down a little bit. But they haven't. And that's been one of the big issues, I think, is humbleness hasn't set back in yet.
Yeah, that's one of the main things. So I don't think people like that, even that word. um, Especially when a lot of us is the ego and pride, so I feel that one. That's one of our biggest things, entitlement. Boy, that's serious. Lorna, did you go ahead, my brother? I know you guys might have something for us.
Hey, what's going on, guys? How's it going?
So that's right.
Listen, man.
Are we talking about the first question up here in green?
Yeah, you can.
All right. I think people are not using knowledge for healing as a crutch, as fear of the unknown, and even fear mongering at times. What I mean by that is, more or less, people are out here seeking a better purpose for success. And what you typically find is there's often lack of comprehension, often lack of articulation, communication, lack of discipline, and they fear themselves in truth or other ways that make their weaknesses stronger. And in doing so, what you find is people tend to project their fear of themselves onto others as an appeal to grow in unhealthy ways.
All right. Reggie, you got something?
Yeah, I'm still here. Okay. Let me see. Things like cigarettes and coffee weren't meant to depend on through things like this. to avoid going to therapy. I don't believe that. Was we still on that same topic, or are we just going down the list? How we gonna do it?
I mean, we could do that so it ain't really many people in here then until it might pick up in a minute. But you could do that.
Most definitely. Okay. If you can't stand being by yourself, what makes you think someone else can stand you? Yeah, I think that question was geared towards women because I think as a man, you know how to be by yourself. You understand the demographics of that. I don't feel like you need to be with nobody just to for you to know you're a man or anything like that. I
Let me
mean,
do this then. Let me ask this then.
okay.
For the little mini pushback, because I think men got that problem too.
Um,
Do you think a lot of men is practicing abstinence? Average man.
no, most definitely not.
Yeah, so when I mean by yourself, that mean not looking for buns, really just focusing on yourself. But a lot of people use that for coping mechanisms too. You know, they look like if I go without, I'm gonna stress out. Just like they need cigarettes. You know, they
Yeah,
do that same thing. They need punani. I got young dogs like now, right now, people that's my age or people that's older, same old thing. They don't realize that they are using that as a cope.
most definitely. Yeah, when
Uh,
you say it like that, yeah, it's different. Um, I feel like then they can use bonds for that and bonds for this and going on, but yeah, it might be a yeah. And when you say it like that, it might be a coping mechanism. But me personally, I don't dabble in that type of thing. Like me, like right now, I'm 35 years old. Uh, I'm single. I got 2 kids, one baby mother. I'm not on child support. I don't seek female validation, and I stay by myself. I go to work. I work my shift. You know, coming from Texas, these women are very blunt in what they want, and they usually follow the trends. I'm from Dallas, Texas, so they usually follow the trends out here, which is city gore shit. Like that's what they on, shaking their ass in the camera, having sex real fast, and doing things of that nature. Do I knock it? No. Am I Martin Luther King about it? No. I just let it happen, but I say that just to say that when a man wants sex, he gonna go and get it. And it's just not a big thing out here. It's like we could live without it because it's so predominantly evident that you can have whoever you want if you just push a little effort forward. So I'm more focused on getting some money. And I know that sounds cliche, but I'm really more focused on getting some money and taking care of these kids, man.
all right. Uh, I think what we on. So Red Rum. I keep mixing y'all name together. My bad. I don't even drink in a long time, and I'm mixing both of them together.
Hey,
I ain't drink no heavy liquor in a while. Might drink a beer. But
that
Red Red Scorpion. Um, um, we are the first prompt. Things like cigarettes and coffee weren't meant to depend on. Uh, do things like that, like this is do things like I guess I do be messing up on my grammar or something. Do things like this is the reason? Oh, is to avoid going to therapy? Man, I got some horrible stuff. Man, whatever. So basically, do people avoid going to therapy or they use these things as coping mechanisms to avoid going to therapy? Even with the coffee thing, I think people just don't get that much sleep and they just say, I need coffee. But that right there.
Um, do people use this as a coping mechanism? In small cases, I think the reason why people avoid, I don't believe it's the reason why people avoid therapy, use it to avoid therapy. The reason why people avoid therapy is because they watch too much damn TV.
Mm.
They think therapy is like the movies that they've watched instead of actually experiencing. So, and even when they go, they don't realize they have to go find a therapist that is going to be for them. They have to do the homework, right? You just don't walk into the therapist and be like, yeah, I just want to tell you everything that you ask them questions, they get to know each other, and they ask you what you're here for. What are we trying to fix? But, people don't go to therapy don't know that. So, because they have a stigma that a therapist is like they see on TV.
We talking about for men?
Men and women.
Okay. Cause see, we wasn't brought up with no therapy and stuff like that. We wasn't brought up saying go ahead and go to the therapist and figure out your problems. We was growing up by a daddy that told us, if it ain't working, make it right and do something different if it, don't work out that way. So I get what you're saying. But as men in general, especially in Texas, I can only speak for Texas. We're not going to therapists like that because we feel like, we got to figure it out. So, I don't know how old you are, but you sound wise. Yeah, that's what.
But that's what I was saying. So you were exactly saying, you were showing me exactly what I was saying, is we have a stigma about therapy. Where does that come from? People, they thinking that therapist is going to go tail off in your business and they're going to be talking da. You have bad cases of that. You see it on, and then when you see it popularized in something that you use on a daily basis, it becomes ingrained as reality.
No. I just was never grew up like that.
I understand that. And you had your dad who told you, right? But again, it's a learned thing. But when you actually go and you do it, you see a different experience. That's all I'm saying. So I don't want you to, brother, to take it as I'm, attacking and saying that you have to go and seek therapy. But if you look at therapy not as someone trying to tell you what to do, but someone to help you discover where you're trying to go, becomes a whole different thing.
Yeah.
Sometimes we're a little lost, man. Sometimes we don't figure it out like until we're 40 and 50. Well, maybe if you went to therapy, and this is what I say coming from myself, being older and looking back, if I would have went to therapy younger and got the experience that people was telling me I was going to get, but I didn't believe in it, I would have figured out things a little bit faster, and I would have had more time to develop in it. I wouldn't be developing in it late. Just a thought. You know what I mean?
I get
I'm not
that.
saying that that you need someone to.
No, I get that, but it's not. That ain't the same for the inner city of Dallas, Texas. You don't have the luxury to go see a therapist just like that. Why not? Because they can start you off in special ed classes and you got resources like that. But I'm talking about a regular average Joe person like me, not taking no help. Mama wasn't there. Daddy could do what he can do when he can do. But the best thing he know is discipline. You don't have that type of luxury growing up in the inner city to where I can wake up one day and just say, okay, everything ain't on me. Let me go ahead and take the vacation and go ahead and go to therapy. Therapy? No, what I'm telling you was right, and what you was doing was wrong. You need to understand it. And that's what we understood. So I'm not saying therapy is not wrong, because my T-Zone's right now, she going therapy, and I shouldn't shun her like I shun her. I tell her, T, why you go there, baby? You pay her all that money. You pay $300 and $50 to go visit this woman to tell you something you already know. Then she come back and tell me shit that I already know, what the therapist gonna tell her. So why you paying your money for that? Why you do that? I don't understand it. And I shun her for that. Every time she tell me, well, they said this, they said that. Duh. That's okay. But what else we doing here? So I never understood the whole therapy thing, you know. Uh, but that's just me. That's just me. Not saying therapy bad. And I get off my mama ass after I see it in her face. She don't want to hear that shit. Especially after she came and seen the therapist and they told her something different. She ain't trying to hear what the fuck I got to say. She trying to find a better way. So, you know, I just leave it at that. But therapy might be good for different individuals, man. I'm a hard learner on experience, man. I got to go through it. I don't care how much you could tell me that oil on the stove is hot. I'm going to go check that temperature. I'm going to go see how hot just it is. I got to see for myself, though. You can't just tell me it's hot up there. Why it's hot then? I mean, so I'm going to check it out. But, I always been a rebellious spirit, and I'm not trying to go back and forth with you, King. I hear what you're telling me. And I know I'm just trying to soak up the game. I feel like you either older than me or you more mature than me, one of the two. Cause I'm a grown ass man. But I listen when smart people speak.
What was that question again? It was something about, I think it was relating onto substances not supposed to be dependents, right? Things like TikTok, alcohol, TV, media,
Coffee.
coffee, right? Yeah, I think things like that, they're definitely not supposed to be leaned on as a dependency. I think they do healing and finding whatever therapy works for you. It's not to say you have to see a therapist, but there are things out there that you can do that are forms of therapy, such as exercise, artistic development, painting, going for walks in the park, you know, doing yoga even. People find therapy in the things that they do, not necessarily talking and connecting with people to identify the problem. I think we can also question at that point how coping mechanisms can be handled properly or improperly. And to go a little bit further into it, I would say that I think that many people are at a very distracting part of their life where they're disconnected with themselves, and they're trying to find ways to balance themselves out with reality, with the mind, with the spirit. A lot of people are just tired, and in times like that, it can boil down to fight or flight mode, right? Choosing how to handle your problems. Are you gonna be the stoic person or the knightly type of guy or woman who is going to face the problems head on, understanding compassion, empathy, and standing up like someone of royalty back in the English days? Or are you going to take flight and just avoid everything, right? I think something like that is based on lineage passing down, being taught through the mentality and also the behaviors, right? Because it's not always about what you believe, it's always about what you believe and how you act. I also think that people are doing these things to fill a void, coping for temporary escapes, in which the need it causes people to deflect the real reason, right? The need to face their baggage, whatever they need to conquer and get over and move forward with. And these things can be they can become hobbies and habits that eventually become very hard to break. Sometimes they become very unhealthy. I think at that point we start seeing it as substance abuse for the mentality escape of reality. So when it goes that far, it's like living in delusion. It's living and chasing a false hope, seeking something of truth, but it's not really true. It can become a fear of facing the real issues and turn into flight mode. And, belief in the negative usually comes off as a lifestyle of negative impacts and outcomes.
I what's the truth?
Well, the truth would be, whatever whatever they need to identify their problem with. For example, like my dad has been needing to get surgery. I'll use this as an example. My dad's been needing to get surgery for a few years now, but he's always been like a really heavy alcoholic. And every time the doctors tell him to, cut back on his drinking because they can't operate on somebody who's always drunk and has a high risk, because we know what alcohol does. It thins out your blood, right? So my dad uses that drinking as leverage to cope with his physical pain and also his mental pain. And his excuse is, well, I got to do something. You guys aren't helping me. When the doctors are clearly like, look, we're trying to help you, but we can't help you because you're making yourself more of a risk. So in turn, he's using a substance and abusing its purpose for a reason to try to fight the situation until he can get the help. But in real time, like he's destroying his mental state, he's destroying his physical state, and he's not facing the problem in a better manner that he needs to. You know what I mean? Like he could have had his surgery probably like 5 years ago, and he's just now getting ready to get it done next week. But you see what I'm saying? Like people use things, they use materials, they use ideas, they use other things as a clutch for leverage to make an excuse and a cover up to actually face the real problem. So the truth is, face whatever it is head on, and try to heal the best way possible without using substances, without relying on other things as a means to make an excuse and deflect from the real issue.
I get that, but What I'm getting at is the same doctors that told him don't do that is the same doctors that said they couldn't save my girlfriend when she went into cardiac arrest, went into what do you call cardiac arrest off of hydrocodones. And I know she was a powerful woman. You know, and I never encourage that. I don't pop pills. But what I do is drink. Okay. So when you said drink as a dependency, um, how you know he just not leaning on that for not just understanding, but as a way to cope. Like he said, y'all wasn't doing shit. Did that directly affect him? In some way it had to. So that's
Well,
just the thing. Everybody is addicted to something, you know, whether it's
Hey, Kev.
whether it's
It's me, Ruby.
okay. We two men we talking. I'm talking to Lenore, and I'm just asking you a question, man. Um, now how you doing, lady? Uh,
Doing okay. They just banned my main account, which is Ruby Red 3350. So I had to get on my backup account. So y'all follow this account.
yeah, Lenore. Like I was saying, it's a it's a difference. So does that directly affect him? Y'all not doing shit?
in a way, it does affect him, but the thing we have to remember here is every person and every situation is different, right? So for him, he's been a lifelong drinker.
Yeah.
Like he's a heavy drinker. You know, he'll admit it and he's open with it. And he's directly even said, "Hey, you know, I'm using my drinking because I can't get the help I need." Well, they're sitting here trying to tell you what you need to do so they can help you, and then you won't have to rely on drinking as much. At least once you get the surgery, then you can go back to having a moderate lifestyle and be functional again, right?
Yeah.
So, like, here's like when you have people in your circle or people around you that can provide perspective in ways that you might be blinded to yourself, be open to let others guide you because it can help you, especially in growth, right? Or especially in times where you're seeking help, but you're not you're listening, but you're not comprehending it. And that's what I meant by like sometimes it comes down to lacking comprehension and articulation, right? Like we can hear people all day long, but at that point it goes in one ear and out the other. And when you got several people telling you the same thing, at that point, is it them or is it you? That's where you got to self reflect and say, oh shit, well, you know what? XYZ is telling me, another person is telling me, another person is telling me the same thing. Like, let's say you go to like 5, 6 different doctors, get different opinions, but they all tell you the same thing. We can't help you if you can't stop drinking long enough for us to do the surgery.
I
Or,
appreciate the gift, Kev.
you know
No,
what I'm
listen.
saying? So at that point, that's where you have to be responsible for yourself and take the accountability to do what you got to do so that other people can actually step in and help you. That stuff is important.
With you saying he's so far gone though, at this point, the way you described him to me, you know he can unalive himself if he probably stopped drinking. You ever heard of that?
Yeah, yeah, no, I understand, but see, in my father's situation, they didn't tell him to stop drinking immediately. They gave him a time frame of like 3 months, right? So he could kind of slow it down so he wasn't going to have withdrawals and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But his mentality was, well, fuck it. I'm just going to drink up until the last day anyway so I can cope with the pain. What kind of mentality is that? If
I
you
wanna
can't, you see what I'm saying?
say something towards that though, because I hear people say. So what I learned is just it's gonna be strong people. It's gonna be it's the strong and it's weak, man. That's what it is. And it's the reason why they say only the strong survive. And it's a sad world. That's just what it is. There's gonna be people that's gonna get it and not. So just like you said, wonder if he stopped drinking. Because the thing is, all we can really do is, uh, I guess, give the best suggestions we can, for the righteous one. Everybody not with that, whatever they say. I don't know. But what I'm getting to about that is that you said want to be unalive if he stopped drinking, right? I think a person, because like watching a person suffer and knowing that drinking is slowly unaliving them, I think it's just all about a risk, right? So that's just like saying when a person is about to jump off a bridge and about to commit, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Unaliving then, right? That you could say that if you talk them off the bridge, they can jump off anyways, right? But I think just people that just naturally that not naturally people that cares a lot, they willing to take that risk. They probably put their all into it, and at least they say they tried. But then I also have what phone as I had this. But also you can say that you can do that, talk them off, and then the next day they can wait till you not talking to them, and they can jump off anyway. You see what I'm saying? So it's just like why I don't I usually hear things like that because I feel like sometimes some people say that just to I guess tell people to like mind your business or something like that. But I think people that care, they not doing that. You know what I'm saying? And they gonna always push because some people just don't realize that they need help and they gonna try their best because they never seen it within themselves and they gonna fight it. Especially when we get grown, we turn 18, it get even worse. I know what I'm doing in my life. This is how I want to do, but other people on the outside are seeing it, and but I think, yeah, like with that, it's gonna be it is what it is type situation because people get unalive over just simply getting their little feelings hurt. I mean, that's just how it is. You could be like, man, I don't like your shoes, and people unalive themselves all that. You know what I'm saying? But
No.
so it's so many different things though. So I think it's all about where everybody which one the best route. I would say sometimes some situations you might have to be like I'm gonna leave it alone because I see what mode they in. Some situations you could be you can confront it, but it's a gamble either way. People can do it either way. Somebody can unalive themselves not saying nothing, and some can unalive themselves saying something. You can really save somebody's life. You know what I'm saying? So that's
Right.
how I look at that.
Right.
And here's the thing with it too, right? All we can really do is plant the seed and let somebody else choose how they're going to go about doing things.
Yeah.
We do not have the power to make somebody else do something outside of their will, right? Like, just like with my dad, the doctors, he went to them for help. All they could do was plant the seed and say, when you're ready, we're here. But we can't do anything until you decide to do something so that we can help you. You can plant the seed and you can try to nurture it, but it's got to grow on its own. It's got to make that move on its own, right? So that's the biggest thing is when you try to help someone, all you can do is be there for them. And if they're willing to do it, then guide them. But otherwise, it gets frustrating, it gets tiring, it gets irritating trying to keep telling somebody the same thing over and over, especially like if that's all they know and they weren't shown or given another way or had an example of what a different lifestyle looks like. So it becomes like a normal habit. It's a normal lifestyle for them and they don't know how to change. They're looking for it, but they don't know how.
Yep. What you let me see what you got for us, Laura. Just yeah, in the building. What you got for us? Anything you want to
I'm
hear
trying to
heard?
figure out which one of these tablets you're on because it's hard for me to read that. I don't have no glasses, y'all.
It wasn't in it hurt. All right. So on the topic, right? The topic is we the part you probably cause we just only was like on the first two anyway. So basically, say searching for all these type of knowledge, all type of knowledges. Knowledges is that a word? I don't know. But not the knowledge to heal. So basically, people have degrees. They have all this information. They can look up what's the statistic of not how to keep a man and all this other stuff, or what's the
Mhm.
statistics on how many men is bad in this world? Okay, we got all these things, right? But
Right.
somehow we don't use that same energy to look up how do I learn to forgive people. Just like we was talking about earlier, how do I find a way to get off this drink? You know what I'm saying? But I think it's like our
Right.
desires, drinks, cigarettes, all this stuff we get into. People don't look really. I don't think people really want to heal like they say, but they also say I want to be a better person. In other words, I think the only reason
Hmm.
why people wouldn't want to be a better person is because that's just like people that be saying I want to unalive themselves, right? They say
Hmm.
stuff like that, but they only want to unlock themselves because it's through hurt. Ain't nobody come off on this earth just start off life saying, I want to unalive myself unless they've been hurt and,
Right.
stuff like
Yeah.
that, because your body don't start off saying that because it fights. Like, that's what all of us do. We fight, it's fighting. The heart
Right.
don't stop beating, all that stuff. So that's what I'm getting to.
Right. Yeah. As for loving yourself, well, see, I've been through a lot in my life, Kevin. I don't know if you know all of my story. Some people do, but some people don't.
Yeah.
But all the stuff that I've been through in my life, I mean, it's like my friend told me the other day when I was talking to her. She said, I don't know how you did it because if it was me, I would have been unalive myself a long time ago. But it's like I told her, if you unalive yourself, that's one unforgivable sin God can't forgive you for because you can't come back and fix it. You know what I'm saying? There's no way for you to come back and make up for it. So it's like the worst thing you can do is take away the life that God gave you. Now, for people that doesn't believe in God, it's like, what you want to unalive yourself for anyway? How can you make anything better in your life if you're gone? You know what I'm saying? You
Mm.
can't do nothing in your life to make it anything better if you're gone. If you feel like there ain't nothing in life to be better for, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, it's just, I hope you have God in your life that can curve you, that can steer you a different way. I had 3 family members unalive themselves in 1 year.
Mm.
And they all knew the same thing that I know. That if you unalive yourself, you're going to hell. Period. I mean, there's no way for you to come back and make it up.
That's funny because I don't believe that no more. I used to, but that's a whole nother topic, though.
Yeah.
But
And as for men, how many
because
good
forgiveness
men do
don't
we
work
have in
like
this
that
world?
either,
There's a
though.
lot of good men out here. They just been kind of, guided the wrong way. There's a lot of good men out here that could be good men if they just had the right guidance. You know what I'm saying? The right
Mm-hmm.
people in their life to guide them the right way. Because there's a lot of men out here that has a good heart and they're willing to learn how to be good to people. But I mean, there's nobody there to show them, and there's not enough good women out here to be patient enough to show them.
Show them how old we talking about?
Hmm?
Show them. You said show them. Like how old? How old we talking about?
How old are we talking about? At any age, you can learn at any age, baby. You don't. You never forget. You never stop learning. I mean, you learn something new every day. You learn something new every day,
But at
and
okay,
there's a lot. So I mean, if a woman wants a good man, and she knows he's got a good heart and he's smart, but he's not really showing all the traits of a good man, then be a guide to him. Be a role model for him. Guide him in the right direction on how to be a good man for you. You got to have patience to do that, though. You got to have patience in order to teach a man how to be good for you. But I mean, you can't be out here demasculating men and treating men like crap and telling them they're sorry and all this other crap if you want a man to be good. You can't do that.
okay. I'm 35. What can an 18-year-old teach me? What can a 17-year-old teach me? Because at 17, you grown in Texas. I'm from Dallas,
Oh
Texas.
yeah, that's what they say. I'm from
Mm.
Texas too. They say that you're a legal adult at the age of 17. At the age of 17, and I left home at 17.
Okay, what can a
There's nothing a
17?
17-year-old
You
girl can
gotta
teach you.
talk. So I'll say the answer for that then. So you gotta talk to an 18-year-old and open your mind up and see what can they teach you. I think
Right,
anybody
but
can
there's
teach
no
your
girls
little
that age that could teach you anything. Not at 35.
yeah. So what I was about to get to is that it's little kids that you can learn from because we don't know everything. I think when you give yourself a cap and say that because if we act like we know everything, right, and that only older people can teach us, I think that's just limiting ourselves and stuff. Because
Right.
I'm just seeing so many young dogs that's actually 18. You know, I'm about to be 34 this year. I'm 33,
Yeah.
but
Mm-hmm.
I had to realize that I'm looking at some of these youngest, like even 22 and all that stuff, man. They more mature than I was at that age and stuff. And I
Right.
mean, so they learning some stuff, man. Like I
These
think that
millennials, boy, they something else now.
yeah, it's just all about opening your mind. But if we had this restriction, but that's the ego and pride that make us say that, though. I feel it though. But the thing is, I be
Right.
telling people like, now this how I try to be fair because like it's some people that's older than us that do the exact same thing, and they like, well.
Right. Because some people never
You
grow
can't
up.
teach me anything and stuff, and you like, hold up, you know what you're saying? You the new one is wrong. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you've been going on your
Mm-hmm.
life doing is wrong. Maybe I gotta bring awareness to you. You know what I'm saying about that
Right.
situation. So you wouldn't want no older person to be like, nah, you wet behind the ears. You don't know what you're talking about. When you know what you're talking about. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like it's just
Right.
open minded.
You got to be
So
open minded in order to learn anything. Now, if I think that a 17-year-old could teach me anything at 52, I'd say, baby, you still got a lot to learn. But I've been through a lot. You know what I'm saying? I've been through a whole lot in my life, and
I think
it
everybody
was
got a lot to
horrible.
learn.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did. But I still learn something new every day. I do a lot of research too, because I mean, I'll be learning stuff here on TikTok. I'll be learning all kinds of stuff here on TikTok. And it's like, let me check into this and see if it's true. And I check into it, and some of it's true and some of it ain't.
Uh-huh.
Some of it's just stuff that has been taught to them, and they're like, they believe it. But then when
Well,
you go back and try to teach them something you learned, then they don't want to hear it. But you know how that goes. They're not open minded.
Yeah.
But I do learn. I do learn something new every day.
I'm 39. I taught high schoolers for 3 years, and we live in a time now where technology is more open than it's ever been.
Yeah.
These young folks, they're listening to us.
Hmm.
They are paying attention. They sitting here saying, "Why the fuck am I gonna do things like y'all are doing? Y'all are acting stupid and supposed to be guiding us."
Right.
I would also say this: think back to when you were 17 or 18,
Right.
and when you were
And we
dropping
thought we knew
knowledge.
everything.
No, no, not at
Right.
that point, but you were dropping knowledge to your parents about things in the new world coming up.
Right.
Your parents guide you and mentor you and help you grow as a child so that you can start paying attention to the way changes are going in the modern society. And then that's where you can give it back to the older folk who are not keeping up as
Right.
times evolve. And this is
Yeah.
definitely one of the things I had to keep in mind as a teacher. I'm still a student, especially in like a community where I didn't know anything. I didn't know anyone. I worked 2 counties over. I drove an hour each way every day. I had no knowledge of anything, anywhere, and anyone, where to go, nothing. So my students were teaching me about the community. My students were questioning things that I believed, but they had a different perspective. So, you know, again, when you think back to when you're a child, you have a free reign of mind and your creativity is far more open. Your imagination is open because you have not been tainted by the world of an adult to where you have to be forced to survive. So you
Right.
have the capacity to learn a lot, and at that point you can
Right.
pass it on. And these are things that we have definitely got to remember as we age. to pay
Right.
attention to the youth because they do hold a voice. We
Yeah.
have experience and age, but they're paying attention.
Now, you know what? Our stuff wasn't on camera. You know, back then, an adult tell you something, especially if it was your dad, you follow that or you get your ass whooped. Nowadays, they got fact check systems where if they don't agree with what their parents is telling them, they have internet access to go ahead and check on that to see on their best judgment. These are kids we're still talking about, man.
Right.
That's
I
why,
think
Right.
you know,
uh and that's true though too. And they don't have it. Shoot, I think we missed the Big Mama days. We ain't got that no more. You know, Big Mama,
exactly,
she exists today. It's a wrap. She getting canceled. You know, they
exactly.
don't do shame no more. Ain't no putting that soap in your mouth no more. All that stuff. That's out the way now. Everything's
Yeah.
so
The
acceptable.
government won't
But
even let you do that no more.
whooping is now called considered abuse now and all type of stuff now. They got everybody done got soft now. Soft
Should
gen when you
I
that
know.
was becoming a thing back in like the late 90s, early 2000s when I was in high school. So
Right.
I mean, it's just gotten worse over the last 20 years.
man.
Exactly.
Let me get Scorpion, and I think I seen him on mute earlier. He probably wanted to say something. What you got for me, Scorpion?
I was gonna go kind of like down the same line Lunar went. Is you always learn, man. Once I think Harris One did a little thing on TikTok actually that I seen where he spoke about the older learning from the youth and the youth are learning from the older because the older brings the wisdom where the youth can bring the current knowledge of what is out there so that therefore you're bouncing and you're feeding off of each other so the older now have a younger mind in understanding of what is going on in the current world because they're not stuck in their world
Right.
as well as it keeps them involved, and because they have youth around them, it keeps them youthful. So we've gotten into this place to where we've replaced tradition for wisdom and knowledge, in my opinion.
Right.
Yeah.
And that can be harmful because again it keeps us stuck because tradition keeps you stuck no matter how much you want to try to act like it doesn't.
Right.
In some cases it's good and in some cases it's bad. I can't say which one is more. I just have witnessed. I can't say for a fact which is more, but I have just witnessed that when tradition is involved, most of the time it keeps you stuck. Unfortunately.
Right.
Can you give
So-
an example?
Well, you guys are just saying it. The big mama, scenario, putting soap in your mouth, being soft. Like I understand because I grew up in that. I understand where it comes from and why, right? And for that era of individuals, that was needed. I understand, you know, and that's why it phased out because they realized it wasn't needed no more. It
You
wasn't
believe so?
yeah,
Believe
but here's why. Here's why. Because what if you think about it, right? What we're saying right now is we want it to stay in this particular way because we believe that's the only way it's going to work. That's it. And when you like come to that truth for yourself, it becomes easier to go, okay, I get it. Even though it's not my way, it's not how I grew up, it's not what I understand and know that works. It's what you now understand because you have to grow up in this. I'm already been here. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
when you start to just kind of not remove yourself from it, but you just again keep your thought process a little bit into yeah, that was when we grew up, right? But at the same time, they got computers in their hands. They got supercomputers in their hand. Like, we shouldn't expect them to not look shit up. You know what I mean? Like, we shouldn't expect them to not know more about even the written down facts that we have. We shouldn't expect them not to know that more than us,
All right.
right? But we should also bring to life through context, because we lived it, those stories that they're hearing about. We should bring it to life for them so that they understand it, like truly through all context, not just reading it on a piece of paper, because that doesn't give it the true context of what it was.
Right.
So I think that because of that, that's where we're really disconnecting when it comes to that.
I want to
So
give another example on being
I
stuck in.
want to, before you give an example though, I want to, because, with that traditional thing, man. Because like I don't know, I don't know. Maybe like I see it so much different though, because I think because of we left a lot of these traditional things, I know this is a decline. It's not. I don't think we stuck or would have been stuck. I think it's a decline because we don't follow a lot of these things. Just like if you pay attention to other somebody said religion, but if you pay attention, and that's a good one too though. But if you pay attention to like so why some of these things were set, it realized that when we do these things, it actually help us progress. Like shame, right? They took away shame. I mean, they trying to take away shame. That's change. You know, they saying that's a bad thing. Acceptance, accept more, and then the world is literally getting worse and worse and worse because they done took away the things that actually help us grow. I know they saying that said it worked back then, but like, what are we doing now that's working if things is getting worse? You know what I'm saying? More single mamas, more babies being unalive, more families not getting along with each other. You know, they done took our loyalty. We don't even know what that is anymore. I mean, a lot of these things that were, if you want to say traditional, right? It's most definitely has become a decline because I could see now if to make your point more, if it was I would say if it was um if your point was that it stood still or only work back then, it's like what are we doing now that's supposed to be working when the complaint is like we look at this app now, shoot this we got this the main thing now we know the man versus woman thing or whatever, or just the flat out individualist mindset against communal. We're not even as communal as we used to be. You know what I'm saying? It's the Martin Luther King stuff, right? People not even trying to do that stuff no more. They're not trying to unite. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's like more selfish, especially in America. We talking about America, I can get it, but like I think even outside of America, some of them still keeping their traditional ways. And even when they come from another country and come to America, they still got the traditional mindset. They like no matter what, I don't care. You know, we're gonna still find a way to work as a family. Like just like the people we laugh at sometimes. Some people be laughing at the Mexicans and all them. Oh, it's 10 people in one car and all that stuff. Well, they found a way to work with each other, and they got businesses. They got all type of other stuff. While we laughing at them, they sharing food. They know how to share, but we just so individual and saying I'm want it my way and
Well, I think one of the things that I mean, you have some very, very great points, and I agree with all of them. I'm just throwing a different perspective here, like, and to also say that as far as what doesn't work is realistically speaking, everything has to go through cycles, bro. Everything goes through a cycle. Everything goes through a season. And what tradition is trying to do is say that there is no other, there isn't anything else. It's only this. So if you have to let the season, because these last two generations needed to see.
I got kicked out. Give me a second. I got kicked out.
Okay.
Can you still hear us though?
Yeah, he still hears.
sure. There you go.
I think
I'm
he
back.
can.
I got the thing talking up loud.
There we
But
go.
go ahead, my brother. I missed what you said. I was wondering why I just froze out of nowhere. That was crazy. Perfect timing.
So I think that as far as the tradition, like I said, everything that you said, I agree with. I understand from that standpoint. From a different standpoint, though, I can say this: everything has to go through a cycle. Everything has a season, right?
Or bad.
The
Yeah.
right. So these last two generations have to go through the season of seeing the previous generations fail and or accomplish, and then they take that and they create growth from it. This is what we did as Gen Xers from the baby boomers and the silent. You see what I'm saying? We took what they did not do well and we made it well.
Can I speak on this?
Yeah, in a minute, bro.
I go.
So, so if we're really if we're like really trying to just guide it, we have to accept that they're going to take what they want that's going to be good for them from us to be able to move this thing forward the same way we did, the same way the millennials did, the same way the next generation, what is it, disease or whatever, they're coming to into fruition, I guess. You know, so they're going to do the exact same thing. They're going to take from their generational understanding of the previous two generations and go, that shit didn't work, and this shit did work. So this is what I'm going to do, formulating from what you would call it. And if they're not doing that, okay, the next they just completely fails, and then the next generation is going to do the exact same thing. You can't stop the evolution of it.
True.
So why would you want to fight against it? Understanding how to be able
I
to
think
use
fighting
it.
always been part of our life, though. You know, it's always been people that just strayed away and all that. So I think it's been people just like what we doing now or what I'm doing now, right? It's always been people that's speaking their voice out, trying to get it back to some of the ways that people strayed away from. And then the other thing is like that's the problem. Everybody like, let me try it my way. But then again, that's how we know their way ain't work, because you wouldn't argue your way if it was really working. You would actually be a little bit more happy if your so-called way was working. You wouldn't have to prove yourself like, you know what, I like it this. That's why I never understood like with some of these lies, like some people that actually try to bring back some of the old ways, or like we even talk about the Bible and all that stuff. What do you mean by that? But they be like the most freaking miserable people and all this other stuff. Like, dog, why ain't nobody arguing your way? Who want to be just like you? I don't want to be mad just like you. It's something that we trying to do a little different though. Or matter of fact, we trying to go back to some of the old ways because it's obvious that we trying to do something different and it ain't working. So that stuff like that I'm good with if somebody tried their way or take out different pieces. But it's too much decline in this world that I've seen for this stuff to actually be working. If through evolution, like it's even with the technology itself, that stuff has advanced. It done got people moving faster, but it got people learning stuff that they shouldn't be learning. You know what I'm saying? At wrong times, and it's making things worse for the most part. I don't know. In my eyes, I see things getting worse. I don't see things getting better in certain things, because this is the reason why a lot of us on this app now, trying to help so many people and stuff. So we can even say the coping mechanism, like the topic itself. Those have advanced. Some people gonna upgrade and take pills and all time. Who knows? You know what I'm saying? That might advance, but it's making things worse at the same exact time. So it's like, dang, like even though we saying is better evolutions and it's shortcuts in the microwave life and stuff, because like, let's use that for example, right? People use microwaves now, and when it was better back then, even though it's shortened the time, right? Shortened the time though, but I mean, it can't taste no better than cooking it waiting and letting it roast and all that other stuff or whatever. But people don't use that in their life now. Microwave life, trying to rush and hurry up, trying to get in a relationship too fast. You're not ready for it. Just basically like having pink meat still. You got pink meat still because you wanted to rush. Everybody want to rush into things because evolution getting everything to rush. That's why people getting bigger. You know what I'm saying? Getting more lazier because the people kids are getting even more chunkier. You know what I'm saying? Because they're not walking outside anymore. They're not doing none of that stuff. So some things we have to go back. That's just what it is. Even if they look at it you know what I'm saying? So I don't know. That's just how it's crazy though. But And I feel you though. Evolution gonna be it's gonna happen regardless though. But it's just like dang, sometimes we might have to go back. Things have been working. Just like we gotta realize, when we gotta learn from our old ways. Some of us don't even want to learn from our old ways. Dang, what did I do wrong? People don't take that time because everybody go from their one desire to their next desire to their next desire and not going to what they really need in life. They just like let me want, and I don't like the way this feel. This don't make me happy. I'm bored. They just go off straight feelings. You know what I'm saying? And then stress off their own feelings.
Hey, Red, I have a question. I'm curious. This is a good discussion, by the way. Red, if you don't mind me asking, where do you live?
Las Vegas.
All right, I'm in
You
Vegas
know what
as
happened
well.
in Vegas stays in Vegas. You supposed to say none of your business. Sign up talking about.
Hey, Red, I'm out here as well, man. Let's go grab a drink sometime. So I'm originally from around the Bay Area, California, right? And I, with the advancement of technology, we can see how societies are advancing, right? And being from the Bay Area in San Francisco and knowing how things are in Portland and my part of the world, where if you're liberal, you see how this freedom and this chaos has literally destroyed some of the best cities ever in America. I mean, these places are, it's people can, I feel like a lot of people don't know how bad San Francisco and these other cities really are. Like, it's chaos. I actually refuse to go to San Francisco now because of the chaos and the crime that's going to happen. The people that are walking on the street, whether they're selling themselves or they're high on illegal drugs, well, legal there now, right? We see how the way things have progressed and advanced from this freedom and breaking from tradition and culture has literally turned society upside down. That place is a barren wasteland now. San Francisco is terrible. But then you look at places where they actually stuck to their traditions and cultures, like bigger parts of Asia or Eastern Europe or Latin America, where they do believe in the household. They do believe in continue to discipline their kids the same way that their parents and grandparents did. And these societies are the most fruitful ones. These societies are still holding on strong. I think that, yeah, times change and sometimes we should go with the flow, but I feel like what Kevin said as well, it's not good all the time. And you can go back because you can compare societies and communities and groups to other groups, and you can see how the downfall is with a lot of these communities.
I think here's the thing when it comes to traditional versus modern that pretty much most everyone here has pointed out. The thing about the traditional values and the modern values is simple. The natural order in life and beliefs don't necessarily change. It's more or less that we just change the way we do things with the tools that we're given as time passes and things evolve. That is nothing more than adaptation, right? And people are not everyone is necessarily keeping up in order to survive or even be a part of society anymore. Things are just moving far too fast for even people to keep up. For instance, we got an iPhone that drops every year. I got parents who can barely figure out how to use smartphones, and they're only in their late 50s. You know what I mean? And another thing is here, I'll touch this from an educational standpoint that leads to how I'm seeing society play out, just to kind of tie that in together. So when I was teaching high school for 3 years, I taught arts and crafts. And while I definitely agree with Red and Veli, it's never a bad thing to appreciate where we came from, because if the modern technology fails, it's good to know how to live off grid and know how to live in order to survive in the basic functions of building and creating in order to take care of yourself. Right? Like if electricity fails and we have like a grand majority of people that don't know how to be truly independent and be farming and take care of animals, raise crops, grow plants, and stuff like that, or chop down wood. You know, a lot of people these days are more about how many followers they got, what do they look like in society, what kind of business they're going to grow up to have, and the CEO or Wall Street and all this shit. Um, a lot of people not really focusing on the STEM core factors, right? Um, so what I'm getting at is like we don't. There are areas in like Veli was pointing out. There are areas in our nation where technology is so advanced because the funding allows it, especially with education. And then there are other areas where they don't have the funding they need and they still rely on old traditional ways to get that education, but they can't afford the technology to bring them up to speed. Right? Like I taught traditional arts and crafts like painting, drawing, sculpting with clay. I even taught the students how to make clay from scratch objects, everyday household materials. And then, crafting materials like jewelry, stuff out of beads and paper crafts, nails, hammers, stuff like that. How to teach kids how to actually progress with something versus these kids that are coming into the classroom with technology they already know how to use. In a way, it made them feel degraded, but in another sense, they learned things that we learned how to do. So if anything ever happened, they know how to revert back to something simple in order to create something. So what we're finding here is in these more prominent areas where technology is advanced, they're more focus driven on the newer age and forgetting about where we came from in a lot of sense. When what they could really be doing is teaching some of those STEM areas to younger age and letting the advanced stuff be taught to the older crowd as they develop in age to take it to another level. For instance, like I was teaching high school students in 11th and 12th grade how to draw lines and connect shading when that's something they can learn when they're like 5 or 6. Instead, I could have been teaching computer graphics to high school kids, but because they don't have the funding for it, they're learning all this at a later age. You get my point? So what does that do to society? What that tells us is that we've got adults out here that can't keep up when they're going through the same stage at an age in high school as someone else who is far more advanced, and therefore it leaves a grand majority of society behind.
Oh, somebody's sleeping.
This man fell asleep.
Proving my point.
Oh my.
Everybody, you guys are proving my point. Is what I'm saying to you is that it comes down to you have to let the cycles happen. Right? And what's going to happen, all I did was point out what was going to happen. I didn't say whether I like it or if I didn't like it. I just said, this is what's happening. This is what they're going to do. The generation that comes up is going to take from the 2 generations previous from it and apply it to themselves to make the best that they possibly can out of it. So if they're getting garbage in, they're going to get garbage out. That makes sense?
Mm-hmm.
So I understand that we are looking away from what has worked, but majority of that has only worked for them that did it already. So we're trying to superimpose again what we think works for this particular era is going to work for everyone. It's just like, this is the best way to get it, is like you're a RCA TV with the knobs on it with the little things that you turn, right?
Yeah.
And now you're trying to you're in the age of smart TVs. So smart TVs got remotes. RCA's don't.
Right.
You trying to point a remote from a smart TV at a RCA and expecting the channels to change. Don't make sense, right? Because you are not up to date on the current, not because the current is not up to date on you.
Right.
Right. So you, again, if you're trying to say you have to get the foundation, and what Lunar is saying is the exact same, is a portion of what I'm saying as well. You have to take the pieces of what is to apply it to the now so you can get the best out of. And again, if you get garbage in, you get garbage out. So you can't expect great things coming out all the time, or majority of, from a whole bunch of stuff that is not good, because they still haven't learned it. They have a double duty in essence to try to figure it out, right? Whereas in everyone else is they just had their thing, and these are the things that kind of work for them. And even in most of those times, those things, they didn't realize that they'd worked until later on, not until after a couple of years of it being there is when they realize, oh, it works, right? But again, we're in a faster cycle now. Imagine this. This is the problem where we're having with all of what we're talking about. If you imagine, what if people didn't have to work for the basic necessities of life? Food, water, clothing, shelter. Those are automatically given to you. If you want to work for something higher class or whatever, maybe knock yourself out. But your basics are taken care of. Now, what happens, right? Now people can, and this is where the artsy comes into play. Now people can actually discover who the hell they are, what they actually love, and go and do it. And do it with no distraction, and become great at it. Now, where does our society go?
Right.
If we were to just take that model, because what we're talking about generally is survival and greed. And all that's what's going on. Survival and greed. You got poverty, for which the young man, Veli, I guess it was talking about. Right? Kev, he's talking about survival and greed in both aspects because of how people are treating each other, people are doing towards each other, not having enough, realizing that this happened then and it was good. But again, you have to, if you account for now, it becomes a whole different thing, survival and greed. If you can take those out of the societal factors now, right? Well, they won't ever be taken out, but they can get, limited. People don't have to worry about, for those who just want to live and live a good life, humble life or whatever, go do that. Those who want to live a little more advanced, you'll be able to go do that as well. But if you just take those things out of now, we can hone people into being, people can hone themselves into being the greatest versions of themselves. Like, for instance, Laura, what was the thing that you wanted to be when you was growing up? That one dream that you had that you probably forgot.
Man, a ballerina, I think. Yeah, I
What
think.
stopped you from being a ballerina?
My bow legs.
Right. But again, here's another way of thinking about it. Society, in a way of society where if survival wasn't the key, right? We would have individuals then who would have been able to dream up a way to straighten your legs a little bit. Right? So therefore,
Right.
you can pursue your dream. Who knows what kind of ballerina you might be? You might have created a whole new niche. Who knows? We don't know. However, but the thing is even with that, we could be in the stars right now, but what do we fight over? Materials? Who has the most? All of that. So again, this is why I say if you just start small and changing your little tweaks, you start to open up your mind to a whole different way of thinking. You become more positive. You become more vibrant. You become more young.
I
Because
agree with that because we're told that we can be anything we want when we grow up, but yet we
Mm-hmm.
also have a society that's killing our dreams.
yep,
Yeah.
because of survival. Because everybody's just simply trying to survive.
Absolutely. And at the end of the day, that shit's tiring and exhausting. So you don't have much room for creativity left anymore at some point.
Hmm. Ding, ding, ding. This is why, like I said, is everything that you guys said encompassed in the direction for which I was talking about. We need to get to a place where we have to accept the cycles of how things happen. When we accept these cycles, now we can start to understand that where we can influence in helping getting things that are going to work back into society or staying into society. But tradition shouldn't simply mean it has to be stuck this way. And I think that every empire on the world succumbed to tradition. They tried, as time moved forward, the world moved forward, they tried to stay the same. And it starts to dwindle in areas and it starts to erode from the inside because instead of just continuously refreshing that thing, we're trying to keep it only this. And that's what I mean by the traditional piece, not that we can't keep things that are good and things that are not, as
That,
far as from our
no,
past.
I absolutely agree. We need systems in place that will take care of our basic needs. That a way we can actually focus, we the people can actually focus on the entire nation being more up to speed instead of being divided because of survival and being at each
Right.
other's throats. It's cutthroat out here. It's you got people that are unaliving each other over the stupidest damn things when
I know, right?
our differences could unite us in order to thrive forward. If more people were kept up to speed and we're on the same learning, well, not the same learning path, but you know what I mean. You get what I'm saying. If people were more adept to being able to just be themselves instead of living in this false crap that we have today. And I think I do believe that the US was founded to give that idea, but somewhere along the line we lost our way. I think things like, making the legal retirement age maybe at like 45 or 50 might be ideal. Putting in place like a structure for everyone to have some sort of backing if they have a struggle through life to where they can't financially make it. We're supposed to have access to all these funds, but yet, the grand majority of people don't see anything. The grand majority of people are just so left behind, but yet we can afford to assist other countries and not take care of our own. We don't. We have people out here who can't afford life insurance, and then we put policies into place that tax those people that can't afford to get life insurance. I mean, what kind of shit is that? You know what I mean?
Right.
Bro, did you
It don't
see?
make sense, does it?
Sorry for interrupting you, man. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Oh, bro, did you see what Warren Buffett did?
Which part, man?
He he said he said I don't understand why anyone is getting taxed this year. He said we paid our fair share of taxes, and then some, which was a $5 billion check. He said
Oh, right,
there's no reason why anyone should get taxed this year,
right, yeah, yeah.
right? So $5 billion went to our government from one company, right? One major company, and again, going to what you were just talking about. That's why I was throwing that out there.
Well,
But
no, I mean, it's accurate, but when you have a company paying in $5 billion, but yet you have an administration sending out $6 billion to help everyone else. You know what I mean? For what purpose? Take care of our home. 6 billion people. We could have made sure every homeless person was fed and had shelter. We could have ended poverty with that.
Right.
We could have
Exactly.
rebuilt those bridges that collapsed. We could have redone our roads. We could have completely reconstructed our infrastructure. We could have done a lot with 6 billion. But it's wasted on war materials that is just going to take out people's lives that probably could have benefited to some contribution to society in some way. So I don't know. I don't know. The things that we do and the people that we trust just don't make any sense. We've got to make better decisions.
Well, I don't think that we should do an all or none type scenario because you gotta have an adequate army if you're gonna have an advanced society.
Well, absolutely. I agree with that. I do agree with that. But we
So
don't need to be wasting our resources for bullshit reasons.
right. So I mean, I understand that the biggest issue here, I think most of us, I'll say in the light that most of us won't don't say. We're tired of being lied to about it.
Absolutely. I would say that as well.
That's it. So, like, if they just tell us the truth, right? For instance, it doesn't make sense that our country is supposedly poor and in debt, and how how the average person understands debt. But then you get and start paying attention to what the billionaires talk about and how they leverage debt, right? So it's like that's interesting. And then you look at what is supposed to be paid into and what the American taxpayer does and how much money supposedly goes there and then how people are living. And you're like, well, it doesn't make sense why all of this money can just be supposedly be here. And we got 10 of the, we got 7 of the top 10 billionaires on the planet in this country as Americans, right? Why is it that we're poor? Kind of doesn't make sense. But then we have the war machine to where, we can send billions to other countries. Wait a minute. But I thought we were poor. So you kind of go back and forth, and it doesn't matter what party says it. We kind of go back and forth with that nonsense, right?
Exactly. And
So
we've got both parties in there trying to say we did something, but yet we have also the same parties in there saying we did nothing.
so it's just that just comes down to just tell us the truth about it. Look, we are not poor at all. Okay, if that's the case, then we are not poor. If we're talking about the fiat system, what I mean, because we can get a little deeper and go in between the fiat system by being backed by a particular thing, gold, silver, copper, whatever.
Right. Fort Knox.
Yeah, we can go into either one of those discussions, but the whole point comes down to is that it's about resources, tangible, actual resources. Okay. Do we have enough to keep fires lit, electricity on? Because we know that the world runs on electricity. What are better ways of being able to do it? Why is it monetized? Right? How much money do we make off of this? This is a global economy. How much money do we make off of all of the energy that we produce? You got to ask these like questions and then look at it objectively and go, well, realistically, then in accordance to how the world system works, we're not broke. We are rich. Now it doesn't makes no sense that we have so much poor and we have so many people struggling. So that comes to the idea of greed. Why are the people that are up there trying to keep us the here and spoon feed us nonsense? Why are they doing that?
Right.
And when you come to that answer, I don't know what it is. So when you come to that answer, please
That's
inform me.
that's easy enough to understand. You said it, but I'll add to it. It's greed and survival. Because a lot of people take this as a game and survival of the fittest. But to add to that, I would say is the most precious thing, the best thing, and this is the thing that most people don't realize is the best resources we have are people. I'm going to say that one more time. The best resources that we have are people.
Completely agree.
And I'm not saying that oil and water and electricity are not valid resources. They very much are, but it takes people to generate those resources. So if you don't have the people, you're not going to get the natural resources that you need.
No, I agree with that. I'm saying is like we have all of these resources for which people can generate, right? The point.
Yeah, I got you. I'm just stating, I'm adding to it that
I mean,
most people fail to realize the best resources are people.
yeah, yeah. They are absolutely.
And when you take people for granted, you're taking your best resources for granted and you're abusing it.
State of the world today, brother.
Absolutely.
You know, there's actually a saying in business and entrepreneurship, and I like what you just said, man. People, all right, I'm not gonna say that. People, they think in a mind of scarcity, right? Where it's like I need to keep these secrets to myself. I don't need to help anybody. It's just me, me, me. Let me make this money. Let me make this business. The way these other groups do it, and I've seen it, man. I was actually told when I was learning investing with real estate, they were like, no. They said you don't keep your secrets to yourself, and the fastest way to wealth is with a group of people. The people that do it on their own can't acquire that some type of riches or whatever success, but it's not long lasting. Like the people who actually spread the information, spread the knowledge, and build a community in a group and grew that way. And through my limited experience, I've seen that as well. So yeah, our best resource is people and helping people. Because everyone I know that help people, they win. They all win. But the people I know that are individualistic, they can look like they win on the internet, or they can win for a short amount of time, but that win is never it never has good longevity to it or fruitfulness, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. And when you take advantage of the resources, society will fall. It definitely will not thrive.
Miss Martin, I'm sorry I interrupted you before, ma'am. Please say what you
Oh
have
no,
to
you're
say.
good. Oh no, I forgot what I was even gonna say. But yeah, if I had to live off the grid, I definitely could do it. But I'm 52 years old. I know how to live off the grid. You know what I'm saying? We had to do that before they ever came out with all this internet stuff and all that other stuff. You know what I'm saying? It's like I was grown by the time they came out with all this internet stuff and social media. It ain't been around that long.
We're definitely
So
in an experimental stage, and I can't
yeah,
say it's going for the best.
right, that part. Because it's really, I feel like it's how can I put, miseducating some of our children. Yeah, some of our younger groups. So
Well, and the machine is only as smart as the person who makes it. So
right, that's
if
right.
we're pouring into this machine, what's that machine doing to the next generation? It's just telling them how
Right, that
what
part.
we're it just tells them what we're about. That's not complimentary at all.
Right.
I think we're also at a point in our life where we have to really look at something that a lot of people haven't come to realize is we're in the age of what we're facing is the age and the era of battling God's children versus man's children. And what I'm talking about is, the Most High put us here. What are we putting here? We're putting here machinery and technology that's not necessarily making us smarter.
Right. Because we're missing empathy. We're teaching all of the information, but we're not teaching empathy.
Right.
Right.
And see that's the thing about, the Most High's children is we were built we were built with roots and branches.
Right.
And we're building technology with just branches, not roots. So if you understand the structure of the natural order of life, the roots will suck up the nutrients and grow branches in order to pass on to the new, pass the seeds on to make new roots. The things that we're making are just building branches, but they're not passing on the fruits to grow those new roots.
Right.
And that's what I meant about, the Most High's children versus man's children.
Yeah.
Funny thing is, we always say you can tell the tree by the fruit it bears. Well,
Right.
which fruit, which fruit are we bearing off of the tree?
Mm. Right.
I don't know. Red, you got anything to add to that one?
No. Man, like I said, it cycles to me. It's just I'm enjoying watching it in the way that it happens. Do I agree with some, most, all? It just depends on, I guess, what it is. Because um, I'm not. To I've learned to embrace my balance. Right. Um, and that in turn gives me peace. And as long as I have peace within, I can look at this stuff objectively, not subjectively. That's why I talk the way I talk.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. That's the biggest thing about the natural order of life. That tradition, it always provides balance, and it always has throughout the entire century of the entire centuries of the human survival. And I think we're struggling even more than we ever have to find balance with ourselves.
Right.
So when you look at it from that standpoint, you have to look at it to say, how do I put this? It's where has the inheritance of a cultural pedigree led us to based on the importance of genetics, right? At that
Right.
point, what I'm talking about is ancestral lineage and the passing down of genetic traits and behaviors in order to progress or degress. Like how have our traditional values and the pedigree lineage had an effect to impact the modern world? Because it certainly has. So where do we move forward? How can people live a straightforward life understanding, these abilities?
All right.
Uh, because first off, I have to slightly disagree on only kind of like on one thing. That, again, we're talking about survival, right? And the different generations of said thing. These generations are not in survival mode the same way that older generations were.
Right.
So we can't
And see, I've had this.
right? And this is why I slightly disagree about the whole.
What happened, Kev?
I think it was inactive
Yeah.
too long. That's what happened.
Yeah. I've been sitting here playing Chumba, trying to win. But yeah, I've had to live off the grid before. I mean, I did it for 9 years, living off the grid. And it wasn't that long ago. It was 12 years ago. So I think I could do it again.
Everybody done live up in there.
Did they all
Time
leave
is
you?
it?
Oh my goodness.
Somebody
I
in
shared
the
out.
sheets
I
there.
shared a live out.
Is that what?
Let me share the live out a little bit. My other page got bananaed for misinformation. Misinformation on what? And it's for 7 days. I mean, all I was really doing was singing on my live. How's that misinformation? Crazy.
Most not smartest things I hear parents say today is, dang, put the wrong thing. Yeah, the most part, yeah, they be putting out what they want sometimes. That's what it be.
I think it was somebody in my chat. They were mad because I wouldn't let them up. And then me, of course, Seta came in and I made her a mod. And we weren't letting nobody from a foreign country up on my stream because they were just giving me a headache. I hate it when they come up on my lives asking me, "Are you married? I'm single," and like it's like, dude, look, you cannot have the keys to my car. I'm not gonna help you get a visa. I'm a married woman. I got a whole husband over here. What, can I live with you? Absolutely not. Unless you want to be on a live, I suggest you not. I don't think my husband would like that too much. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Shoot, I'm about to call it, man. I'm trying to fight it. I'm tired.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah.
All right, well, you take
I'll
care,
probably,
baby.
I don't know, I'll be around the streets and stuff, so I have to stretch out a little bit. But I'll catch up with you though for
Mm-hmm.
sure. Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna go run these TikTok streets and see what kind of trouble I can get into. All
Right, I
right.
already know that.